I try and keep an open mind on most things in life. The way a toilet paper roll hangs, what you put on a pizza, attraction to celebrities of the rat boy variety, to each their own. Even in regards to the more adult-oriented activities that may not get my engines running. Non-felonious ones specifically. You into anything that gets you on a list, you can go right to jail, then hopefully hell. But let's go over some kinky vocab to clear up some misconceptions on what kinksters are, how they relate to a fetish, and the overall meaning of these terms to individuals. I think this information is important, since the more you know, the better. Even when some individuals will do everything possible to avoid the reality of what the information means for themselves.
I do still smoke. Delta 8 gives me the munchies.
What two consenting adults choose to do together really isn't any of my business to judge. See my no judgment hat. I just shared that I enjoy pineapple on pizza. I really can't judge if people enjoy pickles on theirs, or maybe bananas, or if they enjoy dressing up like an anthropomorphic animal wearing a diaper while doing whippets. I just know one is significantly cheaper than the other. Where the line gets fuzzy though is the idea of what is a mutually consenting and enjoyable activity for people and what leads to a very real negative consequences when you're being objectified just for sexual gratification. Girl World has been orbiting a pretty nasty and dark drain lately based on what I'd say are more than valid claims of Amberlynn being involved with a feeder. If not an actual feeder, someone with no qualms engaging in the content, which in itself isn't the problem, but before we get into that, let's clear up some vocab first before I can start switching up my hats. First, let's start with kink. A kink is a very broad definition of things outside of conventional sexual preferences, fantasies, and interests. Not everything labeled a kink means it's a marquee to side, eyes wide shut, 120 days of sallow, BDSM, demon hentai featurette. A kink can be as simple as hitting it from the back, dirty talk, particular outfits, toys, roleplay, or feet. A kink is that extra spice a lot of people add to their intimacy when desired. A majority of people probably have knowledge, interest, or previous experience in something outside of traditional missionary. Being kinky is pretty mainstream. A fetish has a lot of overlap with kinks, but a fetish has a much stronger connection to an inanimate object, material, specific body part, or behaviors for sexual gratification or arousal, to a point where without the focus of the fetish, sexual arousal or gratification may not even occur. To some degree, most sexual people have some form of fetishistic interests, if not a fetish itself. Like if you're a boobs or butt person, those things will always get you going, maybe only being into taller folks, or into short royalty. Someone that prefers a more dominating presence maybe, or being the dominating presence. Having a preference doesn't mean you have a fetish, but a fetishist always has a preference. Like with kinks, not all fetishes are degenerate activities that Stabler and Benson will hunt you down for while Ice-T makes glaringly obvious commentary.
It's like somebody who drinks too much, snorts cocaine, bets the house on the ponies.
When an adult does, alone or with other people while not harming anyone, is something I try not to judge. Look at my hat. A kink, like tying someone up and spanking them with a crop, is used to enhance the sexual experience with the partner, like adding some different spices to your coitus chili. Whereas someone with a spanking or latex fetish, the crop and spanking needs to be worked in for sexual completion. It's the pot for the coitus chili. The intense need and attraction towards the fetish makes harm more likely than kinks because of the necessity. Something that isn't a crime is participating or watching consenting adults behave like children as a form of age play. It's bizarre and not for me, but the hat is staying on. It does come right off though if the police are being called when pedophilia is the topic, since it's not about illusion of age play or roleplay anymore. It's about actual children. Voyeurism with consenting partners isn't a crime as a kink. Pairs nicely with cuckolding and exhibitionism. But that voyeurism fetish can compel people to forego decency and respect to spy and tape unaware individuals. That very much is a crime. That overwhelming need and inability to withhold partaking in the fetish is where fetishist becomes a danger to themselves or others. Erotic asphyxiation is a choking kink, where you are ideally with a partner you trust that respects your boundaries and knows what signal to be vigilant for to avoid actually strangling you to death. But if you need to lose oxygen to get off, you may forego safe ways of indulging in that kink via autoerotic asphyxiation. If you are restricting your airways, you may lose consciousness before you can let up the hold around your neck, and there usually isn't anyone around to help, which leads to an unintentional death. A fetish can be detrimental to a person's health and mental wellness as the fetish holder, be it physically stressful, finding partners willing to always indulge in the fetish, find resources online to get catharsis by watching, or just having the mental strain living with one that will get you sent under a prison if ever talked about or acted upon. Treating people like they're objects is where it gets nasty and dangerous long term. Feederism is one that can easily become detrimental to someone's health for the sake of someone else. Feederism is a fetish or a kink where someone has sexual desires expressed through feeding or being fed for intentional weight gain. Pretty obvious. Could be as minimal as being fed grapes like you're a Roman emperor with some belly play and massages, or as extreme as intentionally consuming large quantities of food for long periods of time for exceptionally noticeable weight gain, leading to health issues or immobility possibly.
There's definitely power play going on, and they might consciously be aware of that and be accentuating that, or it's just a background dynamic that adds to the arousal.
It's inherently false to assume everyone attracted to a person that is larger is a fetishist or a feeder or into a feeding kink. A lot of individuals have large or obese bodies. Lots of people don't have problems dating or engaging sexually with someone larger, and that does not equate to someone that sexually objectifies or fetishizes someone's body. The concern occurs when it's the only thing a person seems to care about in their partner. We will be going over feederism mostly for this very long list of other weight-related kinks and fetishes. There's only so much time, and Jesus Christ, the list just keeps on going. I feel like I've unintentionally seen all of these as a 5th grader on DeviantArt. Kids today have it easy. I saw Sonic inflation porn as a preteen right on the goddamn homepage every time I logged into that appropriately named hell site. A lot of people enjoy this fetish and enjoy being a feeder or a feedee. The stomach is literally one of 31 erogenous zones on the human body after all. Like any kink and fetish, if it's consensual and safely done without sacrificing long-term health, I can't put my judging cap on. Some people enjoy gaining weight. Some don't mind it if it's for their partner. Doesn't mean they have a disordered outlook on eating the same way that someone enjoying BDSM doesn't equate to being physically abusive. The key aspect is consent. Those familiar with 600-pound life can probably clock how and why a patient's family or partner is the problem for a patient. Like Amber, the patient usually is from a very dysfunctional upbringing with minimal support.
And then everything changed. When I was 5, my dad left. And when I was 8, my mom went to prison.
Took my siblings and I with her, but she was never around because of her drug addiction.
The spouse or family member of a patient is also usually very uneducated about creating healthy diet or exercise plans. They may not know how to assist with the food addiction and might unintentionally enable it. And we have the ones that very much intentionally enable the weight gain for their own sexual benefit in spite of their partner's health.
I've always liked bigger women, you know. Why settle for a hot dog when you can have a steak?
Big can't be beautiful when it means my daughter may not have a mother. He has no idea how close to death I feel every day.
I mean, I'm a little bit sad because, you know, I like bigger women, so it's a little upsetting to lose what you like.
Typically, it's the husband. And the husband will be threatened if their significant other loses weight. Without weight loss, there's independence. When there's independence, there's no need for a devoted and doting partner to do everything for their morbidly obese sex object.
But now she's starting to just be able to move around and stuff, and in a way that really scares me because I don't want her to leave me.
The nefarious undertones for overfeeding a partner so they can stay with them are usually just as simple as that: control. The idea that Amberlynn intentionally appeals to people that fetishize morbidly obese people for money has a lot of weight behind it. She has a hard time keeping earnest fans of her content and struggles given the apathy of literally everything. In her mind, some people think she's attractive, so who cares? They're liking, subscribing, watching her full videos as she eats food for them. She makes more money than the average person doing very little outside of acting like she's a busy person because she cleaned her 800 square foot apartment?
I did it in like an hour. I don't understand why you're such a freaking martyr all the time. It's a house. It's a finite area. I'm not cleaning a town.
She had a taste of what a day job is like. And most of us know those suck.
Going somewhere and working every day. I like that. And I like the people I've been working with. And I like the environment. Yes, it's fucking up my back and my feet and my legs keep getting swollen. And it's like...
And pay way less than just sitting and eating at home. Plus, people think she's hot because she's morbidly obese, so why bother trying to actually have internal motivation to change? She has an income and a significant other, why bother? Hold on, let me get my speculation sun hat out for this one. Crystal, Destiny, and Bex are all people that found Amber's personality endearing and charming, and she certainly weaponized that victim card and clawed her way into each of their lives for years. Amber was obese during this time period with all three, and her past relationships didn't mind that obese body. These three aren't people I'd identify as highly active individuals. Amber not being an ultra-marathoner wasn't needed for them to be in a relationship. Her being obese was inconsequential. I do not believe any of them are feeders or fetishized large bodies. The physique of their partner just was not a keystone factor in their attraction. I'd say they were all generally neutral to passive about it. Two of the three intentionally tried to assist Amber with weight loss, but like any addiction, the addict needs to choose to change, so nothing but wasted efforts overall. Jade Feline Wifey, that's a mouthful. Jaffafi, yeah. I think Jaffafi tried the most and the hardest to get Amber to change for the better. She wasn't ever featured, but she had real "I can fix her" vibes. Amber said herself she would encourage her to cook, eat well, walk. The only lingering impact I can see is like the turkey kielbasa still kinda being around. I personally miss when Jaffafi would trick her into exercising, like playing with balloons for physical activity. That was pretty funny. Same with actually buying her a sitting device for stationary exercises. Like literally, why not just use that? You are already sitting all day, Amber. You could just do the same things you're doing, but move a bit more. This is all very unfortunate. I think her efforts were coming from a truly good place. She didn't mind that Amber was morbidly obese, but she was supportive in her efforts in losing weight through positive encouragement, diet, exercise, assistance taking her to medical professionals for weight loss surgery, helping her take her medication for weight loss.
She sticks it in, and then we count to 6 very slowly.
I'm sure Jaffafi was into bigger women, but Amber being unable to do anything for long periods of time clearly got on their nerves. The current era is concerning since, unlike the rest, Tommy is very much either a feeder or someone who at the very minimum has no problem participating in feeder-feedy activities for attention or financial gain, something they did with their previous significant other, who, full disclosure, passed away less than 90 days before she started hitting up Amber in the DMs. People grieve death in a multitude of ways. I'm not supposed to judge, but moving on from a long-term partner you love to an online stranger that's also morbidly obese and needs a lot of assistance that quickly feels kinda grody.
When I first met Colleen, the feeling was instantaneous, and our connection was overwhelming. Like our souls have been looking for each other, and we are finally reunited.
So that's how I know, like, timelines are a load of crap.
I can't say if she was the instigator or a willing participant that enjoyed being objectified for being morbidly obese, or if she enjoyed being a feedie. I can't say Tommy fed them to death, but I can assess that their partner struggling due to their weight was nothing they seemed compelled to assist with. Amber is perfect. Since we have enough data to showcase that unless they have a mutual and consistent help with weight loss, it's just not going to happen. A feeder familiar with someone's strengths and weaknesses could easily, and I mean super easily, let Amber flounder and still get what they want.
Roll up with vanilla ice cream. Why is it crunchy?
I'm in danger.
Being in a long distance relationship where they aren't ever aware of what Amber's actually eating all day every day, giving hollow texts of support, not questioning their accountability any more than, how was your day? Tommy doesn't need to do anything and Amber will be 500 pounds. She got to that weight without a feeder, or intentionally posting for them, or intentionally gaining for them. Tommy doesn't need to do anything, and Amber will find a way to stay morbidly obese all on her own in spite of all the resources available. She refuses to get consistent mental health treatment, doctor visits, or medication to assist in mental wellness that will help her physically. She would rather have a significant other with a detrimental enjoyment of her body than deal with being alone and actively take steps to make themselves healthier, by taking actual steps. Tommy has shown to be into incredibly obese women. She had been very clearly shown to not care about her significant other's physical health enough to instigate changes that could help them. Amberlynn won't be any exception to that statement, Amber has the survival instincts of a panda.
So if someone prefers my body type, that makes it a fetish, right?
You serious? I just told you that a moment ago.
So does that mean if the next Joe Schmo in line prefers someone of the skinny nature, does that mean that's a fetish for them because that is what they prefer sexually?
Amber is right. Skinny people are also fetishized, or seen as just sexual objects.
I think anyone should be able to look at any body type in the whole entire world and be like, that is what I prefer, without judgment.
We all have preferences that could be considered a fetish, but may not be a need for finding someone attractive, like being into a big ol' badonk, tig ol' bitties, muscular frames, slender physiques, and foot types. To our intro points, some fetishes are inherently dangerous to the focus of their fetish. You can say that you have a furry fetish, fine. What two consenting adults like to dress up as is none of my business. Bestiality, with an actual animal being involved, that's a crime, illegal, not cool, a thought shared by most besides these concerning states. But the majority of people would have an issue seeing someone being encouraged to lose weight when they are already incredibly underweight.
My head is fat. Is it?
Regardless of consent, that is dangerous. They could die. And the same concern occurs in the opposite direction. Obese individuals have every right to feel attractive and to find partners attracted to them. But when that attraction is bypassing basic health, it's not worth it.
No, she is not a feeder. People think that she's a feeder, and she's definitely not that. So when Tommy was with her late fiance, they were long distance and they wanted to see each other more often. And to do so, they found a way to like make money. It was never like out of like a like ill intent type of thing. And I know a lot of people are going to think that and still continue to assume that.
The feeder allegations are more than a rumor. Even if Amber doesn't think they're in a feeder-feedy relationship, they may not be. Emily might not care at all what Amber eats or encourage her in any way. But Emily certainly is not going to help them lose weight because they have a clear preference for morbid obesity. Not bigger women, morbid obesity. Hey, remember this miniseries where she complained about all the things that being morbidly obese does to her daily life? The weight she was at in this video is only 12 pounds more than she is currently. Amber has been orbiting 500 pounds for around 7 years and has dozens of valid physical and mental health issues that have received no consistent treatment, that we've all seen be a true detriment to her life. Regardless of this, Amber keeps stating that she dates people who are into bigger women, but I think Amber thinks she's just an overweight woman.
Like, yes, she has a specific type, but I'm letting you guys know that like every single person that I've been in a relationship with, everyone that you guys have known, they said that they prefer girls my size. That is a thing that all of my partners have had in common. I think that I don't know if I would ever actually be in a relationship with someone who didn't prefer bigger girls, because it's like, I am really big.
I think Amber, just having a lifetime of being morbidly obese, or obese at the minimum, I don't think she knows the difference between an overweight or bigger person and the limitations of her life by being morbidly obese. She can't do anything because of her size. She can't be independent, drive, or maintain a healthy, self-sustaining lifestyle on her own. Her weight has been used as an excuse and shield from doing anything in life. To me, that's just very strange that someone with a career and family and hobbies and interests and a life would be interested in someone with nothing going on, no matter how sweet their personality. She is so far past fat, she is super morbidly obese. The obesity epidemic in America is more than real, with 40 to 50% of the adult population being considered overweight or obese. Amber thinks she's part of that percentage. She isn't. She is part of a much, much smaller percentage of people that are absurdly overweight. She is 500 pounds. That isn't fat. That isn't bigger. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous amount of weight for someone that is 5'3" to be carrying around. Remember Housebound era, when we saw her in her worst physical and mental state, right before developing cancer? She looked miserable. She couldn't move, she couldn't bathe, she couldn't do anything but sit and free bleed. A physically and mentally well person could not consider that an individual that would be sexually arousing, unless you have a fetish. Being into someone so helpless and physically limited that they're in misery and not wanting them to change is what someone with a fetish does. Because they don't actually care about you. They just care that you're this big, giant blob they get to beat off to.
The last couple of weeks, things have been really bad because JT and me broke up. I know he'd been worried about me losing too much weight, but I thought I still had his support to do this.
Because if they help you get better, you won't be something that they are sexually into anymore. And what's the point of you then? People that have a sexual fetish to high heels aren't under the same critical lens because shoes are just objects. You can do whatever you want with them. You can throw them away when you're not using them anymore or you're not into them. But moving on from your soulmate to any other morbidly obese person in the DMs weeks after your partner has passed should be criticized. That's the danger to some fetishist. It just makes some people not people anymore. They're just objects.
I was always so afraid of the dark, and she would let me sleep in her room. And we'd play I Spy for hours, and I would keep her up. And she'd be so annoyed, but she would do it because she loved me. And she was like a protector.
She was fierce and outspoken and had a laugh that penetrated your soul. Colleen loved to give, but her unconditional love and unwavering friendship was the true gift.
Colleen was my best friend. I'm sure a lot of you can say the same. And I was at the lowest point in my life, and I was ready to jump from the highest bridge in Northern California. And she literally talked me down. Thank you for convincing me that my life was worth living.
And that's what's honestly pissing me off the most, because Colleen was a person, a real person who was loved by their friends and family that are mourning their loss of her. Not an object you can just throw away when it's no longer useful to you. The gray lines between sexual objectification, dehumanization, self-objectification, and fetish exist, and we all have our own views and limits involved with that. Not every preference is a fetish. Not every fetish is dangerous. Amber has a preference for more masculine presenting partners. I myself have my own preferences. I prefer pineapple on a pizza and other things. The only exercise she's getting this era is the mental gymnastics of enjoying being a fetishized object.
How does it feel to be fetishized? Feels great. Feels wonderful.
And simultaneously being dehumanized for her size.
The shit that I have to deal with. And it's just part of the problem.
Natalie.
And then fold it down.
She somehow isn't piecing together that both see her as an object. One only for sexual gratification and one for mockery. But one makes her feel better though.
Feels great.
Feederism exemplifies how a fetish can exploit vulnerabilities, leading to long-term health consequences. And not accepting all forms of affection and attention are genuine, because in this world, you may care deeply for them, but they may only care deeply about a part of you. That can be fetishistic. We all have preferences that can be fetishistic. We all have preferences that can be fetishized. Fetishized? We all have preferences that can be fetishized. Fetishized. Fetishized? Fetishized? Fetishized?